all you can really love him for.
No, you can also love him for his very newfound engagement into the poultry industry.
Yeah, he's threatened my life no small number of times thanks to you. Mute my mic, see if we're sounding good.
My neighbor seems to have just started leaf blowing or something. Can you guys hear that? Is that annoying?
I don't
No,
hear
you're
it.
fine.
Okay.
All right, Jotin, your guess, your intro. Sweet swash.
Hello there, Internet, and welcome back to the Bin Podcast with you again on Thursdays, as we have been for almost a year now. But we still haven't made. How many times have we been on time? I think like 2. So, fashionably late, as always. I'm joined by Brenna, Wayne, Mikey, and Cortez. Sitting there pretty. And, of course, our special guest of the evening, Mr. Kenneth Goldman. So, as we always do, we are gonna be doing a little round table and telling you about what we're drinking, which is more interesting for the Europeans than it is for the Americans, because, well, we're actually drinking stuff and you're having water or fizzy drinks.
Or lunch.
Or lunch, yeah, or lunch.
I take
so,
Thursdays off so I can drink during the day, just so I can be just in solidarity with the Europeans, because I don't want them to feel like I'm, you know what I'm saying, so stuck up. I will day drink for Europeans on Thursdays.
And also,
man.
of course, we got Cortez with us. We know you're not feeling good. We're so thankful that you're able to join us tonight. It's fantastic, mate. Well done. Let's start with Wayne. What you have done? What you've got going for you last week?
Oh, nothing, man. Just still trying to save the planet one house at a time in my diesel van, you know? But our government screwing our plans up quite royally, which is, to be expected with Brexit. But other than that, just, playing with the kids, working, and just trying to enjoy the shit show.
Nice, Mikey. Except for producing numerous other shows,
I do a lot of stuff. I'm a very busy lad. What up, y'all? It's Mikey Famine. I'm drinking rum and Coke because that's what I like to do. And I almost lost my mind. I had to get a new sticker. I don't know if you guys have to do this in the UK or in Sweden, but you have to get stickers for your license plate every year. You guys do that?
We have a thing called an MOT to say the car is roadworthy.
That's kind of like how our stickers work. It's kind of like your vehicle inspection. You get it like every 2 years, but you get a sticker every year. So I went to go get a new one for my SUV, and they said, "Cool, it's $150, and we're gonna mail it to the place that you used to live at." And I'm like, "Well, that's not good because I need that to go to where I live now." And they said, "Well, it's going off of the last registration." I'm like, "Yeah, but you guys have been closed since February. So why would you implement I'm going to now start mailing your place to your house if you wouldn't let people change their addresses if they moved?"
yeah. And you also know that MOTs was what killed British Leyland cars all over because they couldn't pass the fucking MOT when they came off the assembly line.
Yeah, but that's pretty much because British Leyland.
Everybody was on strike.
Yeah, that was on strike. No, it's Friday afternoon, lads. Right, let's go to the pub.
Friday lunch strikes.
Yeah.
Is that what you
Oh
got
my
going on
God.
for last week?
So to be continued on whether or not I can actually register my car and get my actual plate sent to my house. We'll see. What you drinking, Brenna?
What am I drinking? Well, I've got some ginger snap tea.
Ooh.
Loose
Running
tea
around
again.
fantasy.
Loose tea again, Wayne.
Yeah.
So-
Have you got your Death Star tea caddy?
Now this one actually is one of those ones that comes with its own little strainer, and it just sits right in there, and so you can steep it as long as you want.
Brenna's at this moment in time more British than me.
Because
love
she
tea.
drinks dirty hot water.
And this, Ken, there's a message in the chat from you from one Alyssa Harbin. Looking
Uh-huh.
good, Ken. Looking good.
There we go.
She was a previous guest of yours, I believe,
Yes.
Yes, it
Yes,
is
very
true.
much so.
and she's the reason I'm here. So thanks, I think.
She's
We'll
your
hold
referral.
judgment on that till later. We're probably like, why did I step into this shit show?
Well, we're very glad to have you. Cortez, what's going on with you, dude?
I am drinking some of the greatest green tea in my Super Saiyan Gogeta cup.
Ooh, Gogeta. Is that the earring one or is that Vegeta?
It changes when it's hot.
Oh,
That's the earring one.
that's fancy.
This is the dance one.
Got the dance joint. Gotcha.
Fusion dance cup.
And how are you feeling, mate?
He powers up when it's hot, you know?
Mm.
I mean, I feel like I got hit by a truck, but considering everything, I'm good.
I'm glad you
So-
are surviving.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a second.
And what about you, Shartan? What are you drinking over there?
Yeah.
Carlsberg, as always.
If you don't reach out to them and get some sort of sponsorship at this point,
Yeah.
because you can't drink the same thing every week. That's why I have the invisible cup usually, because sorry, Monster didn't get a check in the mail. So no,
Mm.
not.
Yeah, you need to reach out to Carlsberg, man. You know, it's
you don't.
probably the best lager in the world.
Yeah, I think
it's,
we already said it.
I'm not having. I'm having a pilsner, not a lager. So, but okay.
Whatever.
So Ken, I know you're not.
Yeah,
you're,
Jonathan.
Ken, you're probably not drinking with us. But what's your go-to drink? What do you like? You like a Tom Collins? You're a gin and tonic guy?
Manhattan,
Oh.
definitely Manhattan.
Nice.
How do you make a Manhattan? Is that vodka, bitters,
No.
Nope.
rum?
Bourbon usually, or rye whiskey and sweet vermouth. I like it 2 parts bourbon to 1 part sweet vermouth with
Ooh.
Angostura bitters.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a cherry.
You're
So-
a bit of a sweet tooth, aren't
So
you?
you always know a Manhattan has whiskey in it because an M turns into a W. So a
Ah.
Manhattan turns into whiskey.
There you go.
And a Rob Roy is very similar, but it's Scotch.
A Rob Roy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out drinking with you guys as soon as this COVID
This
thing
is
gets under
what
control.
happens
I want
when
to try
you
stuff.
study bartending.
Wow, what can I say?
Brenna's like drone pilot, teacher, producer, editor, mixologist.
It sort of tastes like a Manhattan. You're brilliant.
Get that down your neck. I want to try that now.
Since we're all here, I think that we should ask everybody to send their thoughts to Cortez because Cortez has tested positive for COVID-19, and that's why he's feeling like he's been hit up by a truck. And so everybody out there, be there. Send him a message every now and then. Just know he's okay. We love you, dude. Fucking all. Be well. We're thinking about you.
Keep that green tea down your neck.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had
All right.
I had a lady come through my shop yesterday.
Wow.
She bought, I am not making this up, 20 pints of blackberries.
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, you doing some canning? Gonna can them? Gonna make some preserves? Oh no, this protects you from the coronavirus.
Wow.
And I just looked at her and I was like, I don't even know if we should sell her these. Like, just because she thinks it's going to do something that it's not. And I think that's dangerous also. When people
Yeah.
think that they're being saved by something, that is just a yummy, tasty fruit snack.
And then now you have the added, now we're getting vaccines. And now you have to add in the anti-vaccine
Right.
people onto all this anti-mask, anti-COVID, COVID deniers. And now we have the anti-vaxxers going up. This is a very dangerous time for all this. And that, to me, just having blackberries and just thinking that that's going to protect you.
She thinks that's why she bought 20 of them. 20 of the, the little square containers.
Little packets of them.
She bought
That's-
20 of them, and she figured
Look.
that's going to keep her safe this week.
Look, eating healthy, being healthy, staying healthy, that's good. That's not a bad thing. But you also have to put science into that, and that's not gonna help prevent it.
There are blueberries, right, Mikey? Is that what you said? Blueberries?
Blackberries.
Okay.
Let me impart a little
Even
bit.
less effective.
Yeah. Even it does nothing.
Yeah, go ahead, Cortez.
Like for me,
Uh-oh. Got a bad connection.
No,
Bad
we're
connection.
losing him.
Here, I'm going to pop you
where'd the rest
backstage.
of them go? They all
Here, I'm
they
going
all
to...
left.
Oh, okay. We got a bad connection from you. I'm going to pop you backstage. Refresh the page for me. And then try it again. Sometimes the audio fixes itself.
Mhm.
We have a message here from Google Eats. Mr. Jartan, your order of non-alcoholic Carlsberg has shipped. You also may be interested in little girl's tea set.
So yeah, Google Eats has been trolling me on every
I love Google
interview that I've been on for like a month and a half now.
It's great.
Wherever I go, Google Eats go. Apparently,
You have an admirer. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
Isn't this? I think that this is a stalker. Right? Like if we're
Yeah,
getting
but-
technical.
It's not dangerous.
But you're saying, isn't
Are
it,
you
isn't it
sure
nice to have the role
I said
reversed
so
on
far.
you? Because normally you're the one hiding in the bushes, peeking through the curtains.
Peeking through the
Oh,
windows at
are you
BBC
su-
buildings.
Are you sure you want to go there? Wait, are you sure you want to go there? Who's peeking through windows?
Don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
If anybody
right.
missed our Gobble Gobble episode, you can learn all about Wayne's proclivities in dark alleys. But let's-
There's a hook and tease.
Yeah, you just lay that up. I just hit it right back at you, dude. Like
Right off the
what?
backboard. That's an alley, baby.
It's all right, Jartan, we got plenty of material on you, Sunshine. You carry on.
So before you guys devolve into debauchery and fighting with each
Yes.
other, let's let our audience know about our guest, Mr. Ken. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe what we're going to be speaking on today?
Well, I'm going to speak on whatever it is you guys want me to talk about. I am 60 years old. I'm born and raised on the East Coast, Jersey.
Hey,
Yay, represent. And in the Bay Area, pretty much off most of the time for the last 40 years or so. A year in Chicago, which I loved. And yeah, and
can
I'm
you
a
can you
attorney.
can you
Go ahead.
can you defend Chicago pizza, because these monsters have been attacking me needlessly for years? Can you please defend Chicago pizza?
I love Chicago pizza. I think the problem is to say it's anything like New York pizza. I mean, if you want to argue about what should be called deserves the name pizza, I mean, maybe it should be called something else. But Chicago pizza, I grew up and born and raised on Jersey, New York pizza. I love a thin slice with dripping oil, but there's something about Gino's East or Giordano's or
Speaking my language.
yeah.
Should we leave you two alone?
It's another great invention, and I would take it anytime I could get it. But is it? I don't want to get into the which is better, but Chicago pizza is pizza, and it's great. I love it.
Thanks. And he's the professional, unlike you two.
Yeah,
That's-
he's our resident legal advisor. But
Yeah.
Legally, it's pizza.
yes.
I believe I can't give you the name of the case, but yeah, I think that's right.
There's no case law that says that it's would you call it cake or meat lasagna or lasagna cake or whatever you called it?
It's casserole. It's a casserole.
It's a casserole with breadsticks at the bottom, dude.
Yeah.
Like what?
It's a casserole.
Ken, can we get you on a retainer just in case you start to do something in future? And we're probably going to get sued.
Do we?
Okay.
We need a lawyer, don't we? On our
Yeah.
yeah, we've got
I-
doctors, we've got social media professionals. We need a lawyer.
I take my retainer in Italian beef sandwiches.
All right.
Aren't you glad you guys dragged me along for the way? 'Cause let me tell you.
All right. So, but you work as we talked about. It was in what kind of law? It was
Patent law.
patent law. Yeah. Yeah.
I may mostly get invention protection for inventors, mostly in the pharmaceutical and biotech industries.
Ah,
This is true.
kind of cool.
Yeah, and it's kind of apt for right now.
It is. Absolutely.
So how do because obviously there's a lot of different vaccines coming out now.
Right.
How do the individual companies protect their particular product? Because we know that the Pfizer one is different to the AstraZeneca one, but the outcome is still the same, but the process is different. So how do they manage to basically copyright their product?
So how do they patent their product? Well, you have right. So I think Elisa may have talked some about Elisa Harbin is also a patent attorney by training. I would say that you have the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines are these mRNA vaccines, which instead of using, most modern vaccines use pieces of the virus, actual bits of protein to vaccinate your patients, but instead the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines use messenger RNA, mRNA, which encode these pieces of protein, and so you inject the mRNA and it gets taken up by the cells and they make the proteins themselves. So there's that general technology, and there's a lot of people have the patents for generally using. A lot of people have patents that go to part of the process of making mRNA in general. But then you can also, even though there's those patents, then the specific piece of mRNA or pieces of mRNA that Pfizer uses, those can be patented in the context of a vaccine. And similarly, Moderna, I assume, uses different pieces of mRNA, so they can get patents on their particular mRNA vaccine, and those will be separate, and both of them will be able to prevent others. Although, and I didn't do research for today, but I know that in the context of COVID, they are trying to, or I think a lot of the companies agreed to not enforce their patents. I mean, no one wants to be preventing anyone from getting the vaccine as quickly as possible. So I don't know exactly what the enforcement mechanism is for the patents now that cover these various COVID vaccines, but I'm sure everyone's going to come out fine. It looks like Pfizer and Moderna are going to have no trouble making enough money.
But isn't the problem with that, then someone could quite easily replicate what they're doing, but do it on the cheap?
Yeah, I mean, mRNA vaccines are not easy to make cheap. I don't think generic companies can do the generic companies save money not by making the vaccines cheaper, but by not having to go through and spend tens and hundreds of millions of dollars on clinical trials. But only if they make the exact same vaccine as the one that they're trying to copy. But then if they make the exact same one and there's patent protection, the patent holder, Pfizer or Moderna, can sue to stop the competitor from making the exact same vaccine.
And I have another note from Elisa in the chat. For COVID, pharmaceutical companies have signed a pledge not to use patents
Right.
for blocking access.
Okay.
Right. That I wasn't 100% sure, but that was what I suspected. Thanks, Elisa.
Yeah, she's
It's
always here to help. You know.
it's good. It's good to have somebody.
All right, but that's not really what you called you in here for, because what we talked about a lot and what we wanted to talk to you was first of all, for those of you who don't know, there was an election in the United States not long ago, which has followed
Really?
by yes,
I thought we were over
Hang
this.
on, hang on.
but
I
following
kind of
that
blacked out the
election,
last 4 years. I blacked
I
out.
thought we were done.
We were doing a Bobby Ewing.
Democracy was over.
Biden is the Bobby Ewing of elections.
and after the election, a lot of cases got filed, and there was a lot of lingo that we needed some help with. One of the first ones was the term "stack the court." Could you help us explain what that means?
Okay, so that really, I mean, this is only tangentially related to the elections, right? It's related to the elections insofar as they pushed really hard to Amy Coney Barrett to get her through the approval process and get her to the Supreme Court before the election. And we go into the issues around that. But stacking the court, and as a result of that, Mitch McConnell was able to jam Amy Coney Barrett through. The Republicans, conservatives, have essentially a 6-3 majority on the 9-member Supreme Court. And at least two of them, the last two, well, not the last two, the first and the last are suspicious, right? One was the one, Neil Gorsuch, who replaced Amy Coney, was it Gorsuch?
Scalia.
I can't remember, or Brett Kavanaugh, who only got in because they had delayed putting Merrick Garland on under Obama. So Obama didn't get his pick, and so Trump got his first pick on. And then the last one, Amy Coney Barrett, they rammed in record time. So there is a question of what can the Democrats do to counter this power grab by the Republicans. And one possible answer is stacking the court. By that, we mean there is no set number in the Constitution of how many Supreme Court justices there should be. I think originally there was only 5 or 6, and I think at one point briefly there may have been 10, but it's been 9 for quite a while. But there's nothing all we have to do is get the legislature to pass a law saying we're going to have more Supreme Court justices, and then and they get nominated and approved by the normal process. And through that way, if you say took 4, added 4 new positions for Supreme Court justices, that would bring the total from 9 to 13. And if they all were liberal justices, that would bring the total number to 7, which would give the Democrats, the liberals, a 7-6 majority on the court. And that is what they mean by court stacking.
So real quick, do you have a personal opinion on what is probably a fair number for the court? Where, like, of course you don't want 2,000 people on the Supreme Court, but then you also don't want 3.
Right.
So what do you think is a good number?
Well, 9 is a good number because that's what I've known my entire life. You have Supreme Courts of states, right? There's a separate state system as well as the federal one, and every state has its own Supreme Court. And those really go from 5 to 9, or maybe a little bit more. I think that after 11 or 13, it gets to be unwieldy. And the problem, of course, is if we went to 13 or say that might be okay, but then, what happens the next time that the conservatives are back in power and they want to put more people on the court? That would be
A judicial
I mean,
arms race.
Yeah,
sorry?
It'd be like a judicial arms race.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I've always thought, because it's like okay, so the Republicans have put in you go Amy, and then everyone's talking about stacking the court. Is Biden going to stack the court? And I know that every single interview that Biden had, are you going to stack the court, was brought up. And the thing is, if it gets to that, it makes a mockery of the whole system. Because if you just go, right, well, we're going to stack it in our favour whilst we're in power, and then the next firm come along and do it and stack it in their favour, the entire thing becomes a mockery. It should be, I mean, this is just my humble opinion, it should be set in stone. This is how many we can have, and that's it. We're not going to put any more in. And if someone passes away or retires, then whoever's in power makes that nomination and goes through the process again. Because have this, like you say, Mikey, like an arms race, it then becomes untenable and it becomes ridiculous, and the whole thing becomes a mockery of the judiciary, in my opinion.
I think
Well,
you're right.
That's what we just had happen.
It was a
We just had
huge
that happen.
mockery.
Well,
We've
where
had all that happen
sitting Dutch
several
president do
times.
that.
Yeah, we've had it happen several times.
And one of the problems with that is that
recently.
Right.
you go first, Brenna.
So
I'm sorry. I'm just saying, like there's been a mockery. Like we already have a mockery. Like it's already happened. What's the problem with now going? Look, you guys completely destroyed the way that our judicial system works and our checks and balances. Why can't we at least bring it to something a little bit more normal and add a few people? By the way, like we have more people, we have more things that we need to get done, and the more people that we have, the more information gets kind of in. And I'm not big on, like, I don't know anything that much about the Supreme Court, but it looks like they've been very important to us.
But the thing is, Brenna, they could make the same argument from their perspective.
Absolutely.
And that's where I feel it should just be. There should be a cut-off point and say, no, that's it, no more, and we'll just fill the places when they come up, depending on who's in power.
But we also then should have term limits for them. Like if we're going to if we're going to stick as something, we need term limits. So it's like it's all this talk that we need to talk about.
Go ahead, Ken.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, one really great solution that has been proposed, that Brenna was suggesting, was term limits. Have 18-year term limits and have them staggered every 2 years, so that every 2 years someone retires and another one is appointed, which gives each 4-year term president 2 picks.
Yeah.
And then the court will then over time reflect the same sort of profile as the presidents that you've elected. And so it keeps in step. The problem with the way the things are now is that you don't have that. You're limited by the luck of when the justices pass away. There was a lot of talk about Ruth Bader Ginsburg should have resigned a long time ago, when during a liberal Democratic presidential reign, when she knew another liberal Democrat would be appointed, as opposed to dying whenever she got sick and leaving it up to the whim of whatever timing happened. I'm not a big fan of that necessarily, but that is the kind of thinking that our system engenders because of the way it's set up.
Ken, can you please stop using logic and reason? It's not very sexy. We need to be angry.
It's extremely frustrating for me as well. So I will try.
I think Cortez had something he wanted to chime in on.
I did. In my personal opinion, I've been saying this a lot about a lot of things, but our country has changed a lot over the last 250 plus odd years. So a lot of the rules and regulations that we've had and things that made sense to them don't make sense anymore. And I think that our country needs to evolve. The laws need to evolve. Things need to change. And the unfortunate part of all of this is that when we have these traditions, so to say, from years, it kind of ruins the integrity of the system itself. And what the president just did by installing someone into the court system to unbalance it before waiting for an election to finish. And he's not the first one to do it, like Brenna stated. He's not the first one to do it, but usually when you want to be on the right side of history, you will wait and let either your successor or yourself do it once you either won or lost, because it allows for a transparency. What he's doing right now, especially, is trying to use the Supreme Court to his advantage in his lame duck period, and it really makes a mockery out of our country and our justice system, and it really does. And I'm kind of upset about it, you know, especially being someone who's always been like, oh yeah, well maybe the law will fix it, maybe it'll make it better for us, but I don't have any faith in that anymore, especially because they're passing laws by majority vote when the rest of the country, the majority of the country, doesn't believe in what they're doing. So they don't represent the people anymore.
They don't have to.
I'll go out on a limb and say it. Like I'll go out on a limb and say this right now. The majority of Congress needs term limits because in their old age, represent the people. They don't have any idea what's going on out here, because when's the last time they've been a normal person in this country? They don't see what people face. They have no idea.
A disclaimer: we are not saying that politicians are not normal people. We are talking about having normal jobs. Taro.
They're robots.
No, they're not.
What, you mean like your lady in the governor runoff in Georgia?
Who had that was an in-ear monitor. Y'all was hating.
You don't have any room to talk, Mr. Wayne, because your queen is an android.
Other way.
Come on.
The wrong way.
Put it the wrong way.
You're pointing the Mikey. You have to. There you go. No.
This way. Yeah.
We are such children that
Your
got
queen-
no appetite.
But listen, you muppet. Our queen doesn't have any power.
Your queen is an android.
She has no power.
She's an android. She lives in a castle. She's an android.
She rocks up every now and
Her
then.
husband is
Says a few
99.
words. Philip is a reanimated corpse. I'm telling you. That man looks like he's straight
The
out.
royal kept man.
I will.
No, but
He's not even a king.
Yeah, but when it comes to this issue of stacking the courts, I have to side with Wayne here, because as soon as we start putting more people in just because it suits us, because Aristide is in power at that time, of course the other side is going to do the same thing, and all of a sudden you're going to sit there and you're going to have, and as Ken said, there isn't in the Constitution a set number of Supreme Justices. So where is this going to end then? And elections have consequences. And Donald Trump won, and because of the way that you pick your Supreme Justices, he got to pick 3. And
Well, that's not exactly true. And Brenna, I think, was alluding to that earlier, which is that effectively in the last 4 years they have been court stacking or packing. The first pick was due to the fact that Mitch McConnell had prevented Merrick Garland, who Obama had appointed, from even, this was in February, right? In the year in which the election was 9 months away in November. And he said, oh no, that's too close. We can't have him pick a
Justice.
court justice so close. And he effectively, because of the way the Senate works, he had the power to prevent that from happening. And he said, and you recall, I don't know if you saw it, but the clips in today's world, it's so easy to find the clips that all the Republicans at that time were saying, oh, don't worry, if the same thing happens 4 years later, we'll do this. We'll be fair, and we'll make the then president wait until the next president is in. Of course, 4 years later, the same thing happened with Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Amy Coney Barrett, and of course they didn't do the same thing, and they did the opposite. They rushed through. So now you have 2 potentially, I want to say illegal, but sort of questionable appointments. And Charlton, if you say now, I'm sorry if I'm not getting your name.
that's fine. You were a lot closer than most people, so
Okay.
I'll take it.
I I agree there's no end, but it's not like we'd be starting it. We, meaning the liberals, I consider myself a liberal. We didn't start this one, right? We're just trying to we're playing catch up now. And it's okay if you want to say, well, no more, but then we find ourselves in a situation in which the liberals constantly find themselves, which is that Republicans and the conservatives, they have no care for rules and how appearances or anything like that. And how, if we are the only side abiding by rules, where, we see the result of us being the only ones abiding by rules, and it's catastrophic. And in no exaggerated terms, it's literally catastrophic.
Mhm.
Yeah, and but I was also going to say, I think that the fact that you have lifetime appointees is weird. Like, there should be a time limit. You get a 10-year-old tenured, or something to that effect. Having a lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court is, it's a bit.
And not
odd.
only that, but it's really hard to remove them. Like,
Yep.
if there's a big problem, such as Brett Kavanaugh,
Yeah.
it's very hard to remove them from these lifetime appointments. So you're basically like, if somebody gets on the court by means of
Hook or crook.
as it like 51 to 49 or whatnot, like that's a problem. That causes a lot more problems than it solves. And especially now that we have this such divided Senate, where like it used to be like you could get like 90% of everybody on board with your Supreme Court nomination, but now it's like if you get that that 51%, then that's the only way that you're going to get your pick through, and that's
Didn't
a
they-
huge problem.
But didn't they change that though? Wasn't it supposed to be like 63 instead of 51?
That was because
Wasn't that a 2/3 majority that you
that was
could have?
because Obama
be
couldn't get any of
66,
his
Chuck.
picks through because Mitch McConnell was a
Yeah.
It went the other way. It used to be 60, and then they did the so-called nuclear option, where they made it you only have to get 50 votes in the Senate to approve a Supreme Court justice.
I just wanted to talk to Ken's point about the hypocrisy of especially someone like Lindsey Graham, who actually stated on the record, "Use my words against me, Brenner, you're lawnmowing."
The gardeners.
He stated, "Use my words against me. Use my words against me." And then in every interview, they were like, "Well, we're using your words against you." "Oh, but everything's different now." The hypocrisy of it was just staggering. And you're just sitting there going, "Okay, well, you're sitting there making this rod for your own back, and then when that rod comes along, everyone just gives you a cuddle and says, 'Oh, that's all right. Never mind. Yeah, things are different.'" And I just don't understand. Again, from the outside in, from a Brit looking at America, and I'm only getting like the snapshot that the media are giving me, and I do try and source different streams of news. I'm not just sitting there looking at CNN or MSNBC. I'll watch Fox, and I'll watch all the nutcases online as well to see what's going on. And it just seems that they basically sanitized everything that they said in the media. So I forgot his name now. I just said his name.
Mitch McConnell.
Lindsey
No,
Graham.
Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
So Lindsey Graham says, use it against me, hold my feet to the fire, and then when it comes to it, that's all right. And everyone just goes, "Oh, well, you had a go, mate. You had a go." It's just, pathetic. And that's what I think is making people lose faith in politics and accountability more than anything.
Before we go into the next next subject, I do have to say that it is amazing to me that in a democracy, people have. I think that Mitch McConnell has won like his last 20 elections uncontended.
It's bollocks.
And like in a world where we have like people who have, free speech and free minds and free will and all that, you go into a voting booth and you go like, who I'm going to vote for? I'll go for the turtle. That's a very weird thing for me. But one of the things that you said, and that was very important to me, and that made me very surprised, and you know this, that was what you said about overturning Roe versus Wade and what that would actually mean in practical terms. Because you said some things there that was for me very disheartening and quite concerning. So,
What did I say?
you said that the Roe versus Wade has over the years been so blended out that if it actually got overturned, the actual practical implications of that would almost be next to nothing.
Practical, yeah. I mean, there already are states in this country where there may be one place in the entire state where you could even get an abortion, and there were opportunities that the Supreme Court could have even made that disappear. They didn't. But so it's difficult to say that Roe versus Wade is a great law of our land if there are, there are certainly large swaths of the country where you have to travel hundreds of miles to even find a doctor that may give you an abortion. So that's just the truth. They have whittled away at Roe versus Wade. It hasn't been directly overturned, but it's pretty close, I would say. But I do. Having said that, I think a case in which they explicitly said we hereby overturn and reject the ruling in Roe versus Wade would have an effect on the populace, but I don't, and on the way we think about things. But practically, I'm not sure it would make a huge difference.
Yeah, I think they've already been. It's a woman's right to choose has kind of been under attack for decades now. And the state that you're talking about is Missouri, which is where I'm from. So even if you live all the way out by
Missouri,
shut up, you. So even if you live out by Mizzou University, which is out in Columbia, which is far west Missouri, or if you live in downtown St. Louis, you got the ladies there. They have the same facility to go to. There's one, and it's downtown, and there is armed security guards because it's been attacked several times. There's always picketers out there. Like that's not protecting someone's rights by everybody that goes in there. There's nasty people getting your license plate, and then they put you out on social media. They're just so even if a girl's going in there for just like a pap smear or for birth control or because they have questions about something, it doesn't matter. The radical wing of whichever party you want to call it kind of makes them out to be these awful people, and that's why there's only one facility left in the entire state, and it's disgusting.
Right. So another way to look at it is that what Roe versus Wade said is that a state cannot make a law that prevents outright a woman from getting an abortion in the first trimester. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a lot of room for making it as hard as possible.
Right.
And they have.
Yeah.
It still astonishes me again as an outsider looking in at America how you guys treat abortion. It's madness as far as I'm concerned. And Rajatan, I'm sure you'll attest to this as well, because from a European point of view, it's just mad that it would still be an issue. It's still an issue to this day in the so-called land of the free and the home of the brave. Yeah, all right, well done.
And when you do something like that, where you're like the abortion rights, the choice rights are taken away, you're not just taking away that opportunity, but then it diminishes the health part of it, the actual health part of it. Just like you said, like these clinics, Planned Parenthood, these clinics are not just for abortions; they're also cancer testing. And there are places to get regular checkups for people who cannot afford to get regular checkups. And so when people attack abortions, which have gone down in the United States because of our access to all this, then you start attacking the actual health part of it, which I don't understand why we continually have to do this. Like we should be able to accept that abortions are going down in the United States because we have access to the birth control, to the healthcare that we need, and the preventative and the education. And it sucks because something this simple is causing more issues out there. And especially being a woman, I would like access to all the healthcare that I need.
Just being a human. Being
It's
a human, it should. All you should be looking at in the States is, I'm a human. I should be entitled to healthcare. I contribute to this country. I should be entitled to be looked after by this country. If I'm going to go out there and give my labour and pay my tax to live in this country, you want me to keep going and doing that? Then pay for me to be healthy. We have it over here. I know I've said it a million times. It is frustrating as fuck to me that you have people sitting there making a choice whether they go to the doctor about something that's niggling and then just die because they can't afford it, or they'll just carry on going to work. It's just, it's so frustrating.
I'm going to say this one, okay? So with my insurance, I'm not going to give a insurance provider or anything like that, but with my insurance, I was sent to a doctor for my tonsils. That's pretty much the only thing that's bothering me now after all this. And the doctor that I was sent to, that was chosen by the insurance, treated me like crap. And when I say treated me like crap, I mean, oh, it'll be okay. Nothing's gonna, we don't really need to do surgery. It's time consuming. It hurts. I'm like, yeah, you're cutting into my throat. It's going to hurt. But I've been having these issues since I was a kid, and, if you guys didn't know, most Black families from the past didn't really take their kids to doctors like that. So that's just how it works. Usually because of how much it costs. So I got a new doctor, and the new doctor said, you should have had this done a long time ago. And the new doctor scheduled me to have my procedure. So you guys might not see me on the show because I literally won't be able to speak. My voice is
Thank
really
God.
bad today, but it's nowhere
Oh
near
my
as bad as it's gonna
goodness.
be. But what I'm saying about this is there's two things. The first one is we do need to have universal health care, and it does need to be able to encompass all of these things that can have people to have better lives. The second thing is we really need to leave women's reproductives alone. We can't make those decisions for them. And I don't care what you believe in, make those decisions for them. And I can't place my beliefs on someone else because of how I feel. And that's just how it works. There's lots of reasons for them to have abortions. There's lots of reasons that they're readily available. Lots of reasons. And I think that by us being, in the Stone Age of judging them for what they choose to do and what they may need to do to save their lives, even is a problem. And we can't base this off of an ancient book. We can't base it off of scrolls. We can't base it off of a rock that someone drew on. You can't do any of those things. You have to be able to be proactive in the 21st, going into the 22nd century, and know that women, one, have to have complete autonomy on what they do with themselves, and two, men and the religious types can't transcribe their opinions onto it, especially when it comes to the separation of health and religion. So whatever they're saying in the Supreme Court with Roe v. Wade and whatever they're saying about this shouldn't be able to be in late term and all that stuff, that all these things that are thrown out there that literally never happen, they need to stop doing that right now, because it's just making us look like idiots, like imbeciles, like Neanderthals. And I'm tired of it. Am I still 3/5 a man? Absolutely not.
I mean, your height would say otherwise. That's a joke. That's not funny. That's not
It depends when you have your tongue that way.
Wayne
Wow.
Wayne is as tall as 3/5 of the average man. That is accurate. Couple things from the chat. Purple. Hi, Purple rhymes with orange. Purple says, I had to put off hernia surgery more than 2 years because I couldn't afford it. That is awful, because hernias are not great, and having to suffer with that for 2 years is very dangerous. And I'm glad you're okay now. I'm glad you got your procedure. but let's shift gears a little bit. I think Shartan had to go like freshen up his tutu or something like that. Something he was doing.
Oh,
Probably
if he
change.
comes back in the shirt and tie, I'm done.
He probably had to put new back tires on his motorcycle. The
Yeah, hang on a
absolute.
minute. I'm just seeing a pattern forming, right?
Uh-huh,
So the last two female guests we had on,
uh-huh.
Jartan was very keen to put a shirt and tie on.
What?
Ken,
What? You're saying that he doesn't do that all the time?
yeah,
So you're saying he changes how he dresses if there are attractive young ladies on the show.
yeah.
So, but Brenda's been on the show every week, and no, see, I see what the thing is. I see what he said. Don't let him, Brenda. I'm sorry he said that to you. And I will deal with Shartan. I will deal with Shartan.
There is a difference, Brenna, and you know that.
See how y'all treat Brenna
There
around
is
here.
a difference.
It is
Right.
so much easier, Wade, if you just stop.
Yeah,
No, I'm going to get me a shovel.
we're gonna go deal with this knob properly.
Burying people again, Mr. Going in Raw.
So I think one of the things that Shartan wanted to touch on was with you, Ken, was about all these court cases that have popped up recently due to the election that we kind of meandered away from. But it was a good conversation. It was a good talk.
We segued.
Yeah,
Shoo. How do you do that? How's that magic thing that you do? Shwa, shoo, shoo. Whatever.
Sweet swashoo. It's trademarked. I stole it from somebody. And they didn't trademark it first. I need a patent lawyer.
You just admitted that live on the air. Thanks.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll
HR.
Where is Dr. Emma?
It's a good job we haven't got like a patent lawyer on here.
So a certain someone who will remain Trump nameless is trying to take every single county that he lost to court. I know
Look,
that
it's Trump. It's orange.
Enough. I know that there have been recounts like with Bush Gore and all these like these things do happen. From what you've seen, do you think he has any case in any counties?
Well, I mean that's too. I don't even know if I would go that far. I haven't seen them all, but I haven't seen any evidence. There are a lot of facts to be brought to this question. One is the fact that although in the media, Trump and his supporters yell fraud, 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 yet in the courts, repeatedly the lawyers are saying, this has nothing to do with fraud. They are not actually trying to push fraud in the court. So it has to go with ballots that may have been not properly labeled or the signatures weren't matched, blah blah blah. But it seems, I mean, if there ever was any merit to any of those kinds of claims, that they've all been rejected. The time has passed. Even now, this last thing that the state of Texas brought in the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court that Trump has tried to intervene in, and 17 other Republican governors have also expressed their support and may be trying to join as well. These are all issues that have already been dealt with in the states. They've been rejected. There's really not enough time. There's no evidence that that even that Texas has and can assert any injury to them based on what happened in an election in a different state. As you know, or may not know, but in the United States, it's not a federal election for president. It's each state runs its own election for president, and then the results are the Electoral College, and we can go into that if you want. But the states run the elections, and it's not clear at this point what this case that's trying to just dredge up some old information that's already been rejected is even anything that the Supreme Court is likely to even have any reason to look at. So no, that's a long answer. The short answer is no. I haven't seen it.
I like both answers.
I like the very convoluted one and then the straight now.
No.
And also no, because I think the court system is not perfect, but it is designed to do several things. and usually it takes a while for those gears to turn, but it inevitably comes to an answer with some sort of evidence or backing behind it. Not in all cases, but enough.
Well, it does seem to be the one branch of our government where facts and logic, that thing that I tend to
Oh, here we
Oh.
go.
Coming in with that again.
they actually seem to still have some currency in the courts, and you can see, and even people like Amy Coney Barrett, can't fight, is not going to go off the deep end. She's still got some basic anchoring in facts and logic, and you can't. Those are all just so strong here. Trump is just a fantasy in a fantasy world. He's making stuff up, and that just really is not going to go down well in the U.S. court. The one place where it still seems like we haven't lost the integrity completely yet.
I think Trump is just pitching for a movie. I think he's literally just trying to make it out to be like, this is how I lost. Let's tell the story, and then just absolutely just putting out all this cod shit everywhere, sending out all these like Giuliani getting COVID. Come on.
Are you ready for this, Wayne? Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? I'll introduce the situation to you. Trump is broke. He's not a billionaire. He just likes to tell everyone that he's a billionaire. Because what billionaire runs for president and have the most stressful job in the entire country? Isn't that the reason why you become a billionaire, so you can do less in life?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. Because you want to go enjoy your money. He's broke. That's why he wants to remain president. Because anybody else would have been like, okay, for example, Bloomberg spent all of these millions, $500 million on a campaign late in the game with 2 weeks left before election. And he lost. And you know what he did? He was like, cool.
Yeah.
Hey,
For me,
that's what Bloomberg did.
Trump is using that old adage of, yeah, I've got a girlfriend, but she goes to a different school, so you won't know.
I met her at summer camp.
She's a model in Canada. Like,
Sandy!
So you guys are
He's
bringing up.
broke.
Sorry, Ken. I hate to distract one more time, but this is gold, and I hope everybody goes home. Well, if you are home, then you're already there, and you need to do it right now. Go rewatch Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh,
There are so many one-liners from there that movie it should be placed in a placard of pure diamonds. It is so funny. So you
Mikey,
saying
confess
that?
to him.
So you saying that just kind of triggered it for me because we were talking about it at work yesterday, and it was like, "Shut up, Napoleon! You're just jealous. I've been talking to hot babes online all day." and then LaFonda rolls up and is like, what?
He's like,
That little gap can get it.
LaFonda was all right.
Kip was killing it with the do-rag and the chain.
Mikey, I've got some chapstick right in my eyeline.
Look, Kip was Post Malone before Post Malone was Post Malone, okay?
Kip Dynamite is Post Malone. I should change the name of the episode. But let's, Brenna, any court questions?
no, well, talked about it before, so we got it.
Okay.
I got mine.
Shartan, you are back.
Yes. Have we talked about the pre-post pardoning powers of the president? Have we talked about that
We
at all?
would talk about, but it's time for boom, the most important part of the show, the mid-roll. Brenna, your time to shine.
All right, everybody. You guys know the drill. You are all going to patreon.com/thebinpodcast. And you're going to go and you're going to become one of our wonderful patrons. And I actually have a list of our wonderful patrons we currently have.
Who we got?
And all you people out there,
Whoa,
you're
you
not
people.
on here.
You people.
You get on this list, and there's only one way of getting on this list: become a patron.
Hey, off, Brenna.
Exactly.
What do you mean, you people?
You're fine, Cortez. Don't worry.
You're one of the good
Let's-
ones.
Oh, I'm more than fine, girl. I'm dead sexy.
Gross.
Okay, let's continue. This is what I have to deal with all the time. Okay. We of course have Chicken Anonymous.
Hey, cluck cluck.
We have Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
We have a good friend, Tons of Mice,
Tons
who's on.
of the mice.
We have Miss Nana.
Hi, Mom.
That's so nice.
Like his mum.
We have David.
David.
We have Katarina.
Katarina.
We have a former guest of the show and hopefully future guest of the show, Austin.
Austin Fowdy over there.
We have, of course, the wonderful, the magnificent Kristen.
Hey, girl, what you doing after the show? I see you, Kristen.
Yeah, Kristen.
Hey, Kristen. Hey, Kristen, you got a man, Kristen? Your man's a bum, Kristen. Why don't you come with me, Kristen?
Yeah, your man is a bum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a proper bomb.
Shut up!
Your number.
And of course, we have Richard. So
Richard?
we have, we still have our patron. We want more. We want more patrons because then we get to do a lot of our fun outside activities where we get to. I'm getting
Rick
ready.
Johnson.
I'm getting ready to start my solo project. So
Yes.
but we need the patrons to do that.
I'm
So-
gonna
And-
talk over you for just 1 second. So all of you amazing patrons have hit the first goal, which was $100 a month, and now that we've hit that goal, we can now start branching out and everyone's spinning off into other shows. I have to look again to see what our next goal is, but I think the next goal is 2 episodes a week for the bin, but that's gonna be a big one. So we're gonna actually it might take some time for us to get there, or it might happen today. Who knows? But Brenna's show about sciencey stuff and lady related stuff will be out soon. Shartan will be doing some motorcycles, music.
Lady Parts Unlimited.
You should call it lady parts.
No.
No, she really shouldn't.
No.
She really,
It's better than
really,
okay,
really-
Lady Parts
okay.
Unlimited.
Okay. Chat,
Lady Parts Unlimited.
chat. You let us know what you guys think are some good ideas for the name of Brenna's show, which is a little more lady centric and science centric. Y'all, tons of mice and doorknob head are here. I think we're gonna get some good names.
Yeah, and I have to say, we actually started filming extensive rebuild of my motorbike yesterday. So that will be featured in 4 or 5 minute time lapse segments. And of course, the last thing I did before handing over to rebuild was to actually burn the shit out of the back tire, which was very fun. It
Cool.
was so much fun.
So Shartan's show will be music and what are you doing? Bikes, engines, motors,
Motors and music.
motors and music. That's a good name. Motors,
Yes.
motors and music.
What's
Motors
the
and
name of my
music.
show?
I think Eminem might have something to do with that.
Motors and music with Mini Me. I like
Yeah,
it.
you had. Yeah.
Wayne,
Mini you.
Wayne and Cortez are working out their probably once a month wrestling recap
It probably will be once a month
because there's too much wrestling for them to encapsulate. And then I'll be
it's
doing
on 5 days a
There's
week.
way too much wrestling.
so, and
Can
then
we
I'll
spend? Can we
5
spend?
days a week.
But we can spend the entire next week to talk about how sad it is there are so many things happening in the wrestling world that 2 chaps can't get together to talk about it. That just makes me sad.
Well, I have another day off now because I gave it to myself as myself present. So I'm gonna get real close and personal with y'all right now, and I'm gonna let y'all know something.
Put it backstage. Put it backstage. Put it backstage.
Please,
Put it
please
backstage.
bring me
Yeah.
center screen.
Oh, there it is.
Everyone that comes to the Ben podcast,
Oh boy.
we appreciate y'all.
Mm.
And as a token of my appreciation, as soon as I get this new laptop, y'all gonna be the first ones to get the first Soul Reaper 2-4 twerk show. First ever of its kind. I got y'all.
Ooh, you blew a kiss. I caught it.
Damn it, Mikey, get out of my way.
Brenna just elbowed me in the
I learned-
ribs and
I
stepped on
learned
my
from
foot.
the main man, Joey Ryan. He told me to do it, so I'm gonna do it.
Oh no! Now we need a Me Too moment.
Hi, Tim
No.
Bristol. So
I-
so Brenna, there's some interesting suggestions in the chat.
Okay.
Would you like to hear them?
I'm not going to take any, but great.
Okay.
Entertainment.
Unlimited.
I'm just saying.
Can we block Johnson Mice for keep calling me Jar Jar?
Yo, the Jar Jar Binks motorcycle
Binks.
jokes. Yeah.
Well, your accent is all over the place, just like this.
Pretty faces and petri dishes. Hmm. 3 cats and a babe. Lady particles. Female physics. Anti-mansplaining.
I like the anti-mansplaining. I like that one.
But I'm sure the Red Menace. Oh. Y'all leave Brenna alone. Be nice.
Can we get sued for that, Ken?
Probably not.
Not in the UK, probably.
You're fine. Oh my
And we're golden. But Sharthan, let's get back for our last little final section. Not final segment, but Act 3. Time for Act 3.
There we go.
So, we talked a little bit about it. We were going to talk a bit about the Second Amendment and the District of Columbia versus Heller, but I think that especially in light of what happened, I want to start off with the pardoning powers of the president, because there has been reporting of Trump discussing with advisors of pardoning his kids, Rudy Giuliani, and even himself.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So yeah, I would say this: the power to pardon. First of all, Trump is just amazing because he just violates so many norms. He raises issues that have never ever been considered before. I mean, in the early days, there was the whole thing about the emoluments clause, which is him making money, and we didn't even discuss that. But pardons is another one. It's always been known. Article 2 of the Constitution, even Trump knows he has an Article 2 that says that he has the president has the power to grant pardons for offenses against the United States. So but what the metes and bounds of that power has never really been explored. It clearly is only limited to federal offenses. So anything that they may have violated that any people have violated state laws, they can't be pardoned by the president. It's hard to say. There's nothing that says explicitly he can't pardon his family and Rudy and all, and Michael Flynn and all these people. There are a lot of good reasons why you might not want a president to be able to pardon that, but that's just uncharted law. The one thing that I think does seem clear is that a president shouldn't have the power or doesn't have the power to pardon himself, because there's a very fundamental belief in the U.S. that the president is not above the law. And if a president could pardon himself, then he would effectively be above the law. He could do anything he wants and then pardon himself. So I don't think you're ever going to see a court say the president has the ability to pardon himself. But it's I've been wrong before.
I heard this
with Richard Nixon,
sorry.
what he did. So with Richard Nixon, what didn't he, when he resigned, wasn't he pardoned by the president that came after him?
Robert
Gerald
his
Ford,
vice
yep.
president,
And preemptively, he wasn't pardoned for this crime or that crime. It was for any crimes he may have committed during his tenure as president. Right. So that is,
So a blanket pardon.
I'm sorry?
So he got a blanket pardon from Gerald Ford.
Correct. For anything he may have done. So there is if Trump were to resign and Pence were sworn in, there is precedent for Pence pardoning Trump. Whether that, there was a lot when Gerald Ford pardoned Nixon. It raised a lot of issues, but it didn't cause a crisis or anything. There are a lot of people thought he shouldn't, but a lot of people thought it was good for the country to get past it. That was different time. That was almost 50 years ago.
So I have a follow up
Do you
question. I have
think
a
that he would do that?
hold on. I have a follow up question.
Me
So
too.
Trump is technically still the president until inauguration day, correct?
Correct.
So what if January 19th he resigns? Can he do that?
He'd probably have to do it a little earlier than that because because Pence would have to be sworn in as president before he could pardon. So there'd have to be a swearing in ceremony. And that was what happened with Gerald Ford. Ford was sworn in as president, and then the very first thing he did. So the 19th might be too late, but certainly there's plenty of time now.
Like the week of, he could resign,
Yeah.
appoint, and then Pence would become president, and then he could just pardon him for everything. Wow.
See, there's something that we're all kind of missing here. Trump is under state investigation by the Southern New York District.
So
Yes.
New York.
So whatever happens, even if he does pardon him, and this is the other ambiguous thing, he can't pardon himself because you have to grant a pardon, and you can't grant something to yourself, and that's the ambiguity in the texting.
That would be the textual reason that people interpret the word grant to mean something that you do to somebody else, and you can't yourself.
Yeah, because you're gifting it to yourself.
Right.
So the fact that he's still under investigation by the District of New York, which is a state violation that he's being investigated for, means that because they've held fire, haven't they? Because they've just stopped everything. Because I believe, didn't Trump fire the investigating the chief investigator of that particular case?
So he fired the attorney general for the attorney for the the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. But that's in the Southern District of New York. It's complicated. That's actually federal court. There's a separate New York State court, and there's a New York State attorney general. I forget her name. She's a lovely woman. But there's lots of New York State laws that are being he's been accused of violating, and it's things involving the Trump Foundation and all sorts of like that, and and the Trump Corporation, all those
Trump
things
University
are involved. In. There's a ton of potential state violations that he could still be found.
Sally Yates was her name.
But give me a second. So,
Sally
but
Yates
all of
was her
these,
name.
but all of these crimes that the New York State are, sort of white collar crimes. It's financial. So even if he's get convicted all of this, he's just gonna end up in a waffle farm in Staten Island somewhere for a couple of months, and then be able to wear a foot brace or be in house arrest. A lot of the federal accusations against him are more of the treasonous type, right?
Type, yeah.
Yeah. I did not say treason. I said treasonous type.
Right.
Yeah. I've learned something from the guys.
Allegedly.
Above you. Allegedly is a
Sprinkle.
term that I
Make
should
sure you
use more.
allegedly.
I should use more.
Sprinkle that allegedly right over the top.
Yeah.
But
There's bribery is a good one, Charlton. He's accused. There's stories that he may have been taking money for pardons. Pay for pardons.
Yes, I heard that.
and these are crimes that carry quite a bit more penalty than the white collar crimes that he's under investigation for in New York State. So,
Probably.
what seems weird to me is that you have a president elect, right? So if he resigns, by any logic, in my mind, the next president should be
No, because of term limits.
the president elect, right?
No, term limits.
We have dates. That
Yes,
we have to...
but if he decides to,
Then it goes to the vice president. It goes to the vice president, and the vice president then elects a new vice president.
Yeah.
Yes, but if you decide to step down after you have lost an election, especially in the terms of Donald Trump, of course he's got, a backside to it. There's something he needs. He needs Pence to do that, and doesn't that seem
That backside is flat.
Yeah, but he's not. I get the whole thing about the term limits and all of that, but shouldn't it make more sense if you just made the president-elect president?
You're
It-
talking
it
about
might.
America and sense. Are you fucking mental?
Yeah, I thought you were accusing me of wanting to be logical. Yes, it does make sense, but that is definitely not the way anyone reads the Constitution today.
Mhm.
No, I'm just saying maybe your 278-year-old law book maybe should be revised every now and then. I don't know.
Right, no question.
Duh. I agree.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Yep.
So, anybody else got
Spocker.
questions on this? Should we go into the Second Amendment stuff, or
That's fine.
yeah, but I'm asking Ken because we've gone a bit over the hour
Yeah.
that we booked him for.
I'm here for whatever you guys want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
I
right.
like you more already, Ken. I
Well-
like you more already.
Wayne, we're not taking ideas from you now. Now hold on a second.
Calm down, Brenna.
Getting hot in here.
Wow.
Let's do the Second Amendment
all right.
stuff.
Yeah. So
I didn't know you were into the silver foxes.
Brenna, down, Brenna.
So yeah, that escalated quickly. So we talked.
She can't
about
go
this-
outside. It's California. They can't breathe.
We talked a bit about the District of Columbia versus Heller, and you actually tipped me off on this. It was a decision by the Supreme Court in 2008,
Correct.
I think,
Yes.
which protects the individual's right to keep and bear arms unconnected with service in a militia.
That's correct.
But the Second Amendment says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Right. Right. So there's two ways of looking at that. So there's a preamble, the part of the amendment that says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. That seems to be a statement, the fact that making that appears to be related to the rest of it, which says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. But there's two ways to look at it. You could look at it and say, well, that means that the only thing that the amendment is talking about is making sure that people can have access to firearms so that they can use it in their role as being part of a well-regulated militia. But the other way to look at it is to say that it means that because there should be a well-regulated militia, that the laws should allow people to have all the guns that they need, that they might need or use in a militia, regardless of whether that's actually what the law is intended to do, as long as the guns are potentially useful in a militia, then the people should be allowed to have them, and there should be no law preventing anyone from having a gun that can be used in the militia context, even if it's not. So that's basically what the little catch, and it's a terrible little twist that they pulled on that to say that it doesn't have to be, the laws don't have to be about raising militia, but it has to be about guns that are used, that a person might use in a militia context. So that's what they said. And so any type of gun, so that it doesn't really apply to AK-47s or, these guns that wouldn't be, which is one of the issues that we find in the U.S. talking about what does the Second Amendment apply to, automatic weapons, things like that. But it's certainly clear that after this Heller decision, it doesn't just apply to the Second Amendment doesn't just protect militias, it protects all guns of any type, regardless of whether they're going to be used, of their ultimate use, as long as they're used, they could be used in a militia. Does that make any sense? I don't know if it makes sense. Law.
It does and it doesn't, because if you're talking about a gun of any sense, a tank or a cannon is a gun. I don't understand how the language of the Constitution is ambiguous at best, but then they put in restrictions so that the people can't have the same armament as the government, in the sense of you can't have bazookas, you can't have tanks, you can't.
It's
all you
not
have
ambiguous. It's
It is
not ambiguous.
massively
No, it
ambiguous.
isn't.
Well,
It's not ambiguous at all.
Well-regulated
It's
militia.
not ambiguous.
Why are you
It's
two discussing
outdated.
legal terms when you have a lawyer and you can ask him?
Yes, I'm explaining from my point of view. That's why,
Sure.
and I'm the one wearing the hat. It's not ambiguous. It's outdated, and we've said this probably 3 times today about the Constitution. It's outdated. We actually have gun laws that are in direct violation of the Constitution. For example, anyone that has committed any type of crime that's considered a felony, whether it be a level 4, lower, class D, class F, class Z in some states, they are excluded from gun ownership, which is directly against the Constitution and the Second Amendment. The reason why is because let's say that you don't like someone, but you have a position of power in this country, and this person committed a crime. You just remove this person's right to bear arms, which means you remove this person's right to defend country, land, freedom, home against the powers that be.
How are you arguing?
It should be. This is what I'm saying about it not being ambiguous. It's outdated because the laws that were created 200 years plus after that law was written. That law did not apply to everything we have going on today. They need to update the Constitution. They need to update it hard.
Cortez, what you're doing is you're arguing my point for me. It is ambiguous because it's like it's all right for this
I
person.
never argued against it.
All right, guys. All right. Go ahead, Wayne. Finish your point.
I was just saying, if you say that this is the blanket rule of the Second Amendment, but we're not allowed this gun, and you are not allowed this gun, and you're not allowed this type of weapon, but everyone's allowed to bear arms, except for this, and this. It's ambiguous. That's the definition of ambiguity. You can pick and choose what is actually amenable for the one person. So you've got the Second Amendment, but you've committed a felony. You ain't got a Second Amendment anymore. It's ambiguous. End of.
I think the word that I would use is contradictory.
Can I defer to our legal scholar?
So, I mean, even the word ambiguous is ambiguous to a lawyer. Everything can be argued if you're a lawyer, right? I mean, the amendment itself on its face doesn't look too ambiguous. The words are pretty clear. No one's arguing about what any of the individual words mean. But when it comes to looking at and applying it to various situations, it becomes difficult. And in that way, ambiguity might be the wrong exact word, but it's not a bad way of describing the problem. It's maybe a little bit vague or indefinite or things like that. So there are definitely, there's room in the, as we know now, in the Second Amendment for all sorts of different kinds of interpretations. The funny thing about the District of Columbia versus Heller case is that it was written by Scalia, who is what they call a strict constructionist. These are lawyers and judges who believe that laws should be interpreted or originalist is another name. They should be interpreted as they were seen at the time. And of course, back in the 1780s, the firearms, the arms that you had were pretty much muskets. That was pretty much it. So Scalia might have argued that it was it should have been limited to muskets, but that's not what he argued. He in fact took a very broad interpretation of it and extended it to almost way further than any sort of person like us reading it would have thought it should have applied. So I don't argue. I mean, I may quibble with the word ambiguous, but I don't disagree. I don't disagree with either of you, Wayne or Cortez. Your points are both valid.
Oh,
Thank you.
don't
Very
do that.
diplomatic of you.
Just tell them they're
No,
both
no,
wrong.
no, no.
Tell them they're
Welcome-
both
No,
wrong.
we're not. Wayne isn't wrong. He's not wrong. What people don't realize is, because you can't tell from his accent, is that Wayne is in the UK, where their laws are a little bit more concrete than ours because they update them. Considering what we deal with in our country with these stupid old laws and people trying to put these stupid old laws onto people today, he's not wrong. I never called him wrong. I'm just saying that the way we view it in America is more or less interpreted. And that's really what happens when you go to court. They interpret the law, which is
Right.
kind of misleading. It's kind of unfair. It's kind of unbalanced because one person, bringing it back to when we're talking about the Supreme Court, one person might interpret this law one way, but their partner, who is of equal ability as them, could interpret it another way. So they bring it to a vote. And what happens when you bring things to a vote? No one's satisfied.
But the problem you have is that the Constitution and the amendment are sacrosanct in America. They are like a religion. Whereas over here, we're like, oh, this is a bit shit and outdated. Let's get rid. You know, and that's the problem because you look at people that Second Amendment, yeah, you can't take my guns. All right, mate, calm down. We had a shooting over here and we took the guns and everyone was like, fine.
Wait, can you give me
Okay.
that American one more time? Because I think your friends
Right.
have showed up for the delicious raid. So just one more. Yeah, just
We had like
Look
that
at
was
me.
actually quite funny. It was just like our can just went.
if you can just do that, like, what did they say about the guns, Wayne? Sorry, there was some static. I didn't hear you.
I said, excuse me, sir. Could
One
we
more
have
time.
guns, please?
Please, sir, may I have
No,
some
but-
more?
Wayne, you're gonna do it, or I'm gonna Dick Van Dyke accent the rest of the day.
Do it. Let's hear Mikey's British accent.
First of all,
It
Wayne,
is.
I'm having technical difficulties. I can't really hear you, Wayne.
Wayne,
My mic's not acting
what
right.
did you think was gonna happen?
Which
What did
way?
you think was gonna happen, Wayne? Y'all came over here. We launched to talk your tea, and we said, get bent. We're gonna throw that stuff in the ocean. And then what you gonna do? Is this your king? Is this your king? Wakanda forever? No, well, actually, that's not exactly what happened. But it was close enough. It's close enough.
Right.
Okay.
Mixing all the movies up.
We invented you, we fucked up, and we walked away. That's it.
Hold on.
You're like a little. You're like
Who's
a.
got,
You're like
who's
a.
still got a queen?
You're like a teenager who like started playing with matches, set the trash can on fire. And was like, "Whoa, someone's in trouble."
So I got a question. I got a question for Ken. So is there any way that we can sue Wayne for creating America?
Ken, that is a very good question, and I will shut up to hear this because if we can
Yeah,
go after
exactly.
him specifically,
Is there any way that we can hold him accountable? Because he said we invented you. Is there any way that we can sue him for that?
Probably.
yeah.
You are hired, my friend. You are
Yes.
hired.
Right,
There are
so-
so many meatballs.
Because it's probably illegal.
To be fair, when I said we, I meant the royal we.
So,
No,
Wayne,
I feel like this is backpedaling. I feel like he's just
Wayne.
trying. I think that we are going to take excerpts from every time he said "we" without the royal "we"
Uh-huh.
Wayne,
and use that.
Wayne,
in
go
correct-
get your powdered wig, Wayne. I'll see you in the courts. Get your powdered
Bring
wig.
it. Try it.
We have at least 48 examples at this point.
Sure, probably.
Wow.
At least.
Some of your friends just said someone.
He said it on every show.
Hang on a minute. I'm just going to see what
Right. He said it on every single show. Every
Yeah.
show he said it. Every single one of them, including the after shows,
So,
as
So-
well as the other shows.
so Ken,
Cortez, how bad is your delay?
yeah, it's pretty rough.
It is shocking.
So Ken, what's happening right
I
now?
need a
is-
new laptop.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you if you don't stop talking over me very loudly. So Ken, what's happening is Wayne is a moderator for a big time wrestling podcast, and they just wrapped up. So now they're all in our chat, tearing Wayne from limb at this point. It happened last
What's
week.
up, going in, Rob?
It was very enjoyable, and it's
Yeah.
happening again. And we just are.
Yeah,
is a
Night by
delight.
Night 17 just wrote, "Is someone still salty about 1812?"
Don't make me dust off my red coat.
Is that standard issue for all Britannians? Like you all get a Mini Cooper and a red coat in the truck.
Yeah, and a bayonet. A bayonet.
Since the
on a-
boys are here,
Oh, look at this
Oh,
one.
put him in. Yeah.
Oh, look at
Oh,
this
here we
one.
go. Look at this. Look at
Oh,
Cortez trying to put himself over.
wow, flexing.
hey, the boys are here. The boys are here. They all follow me on Twitter. I appreciate you guys because I have exactly 9 followers on Twitter. So I appreciate y'all for following me. Go check out Going In Raw. Don't worry about Wayne, but go check out the boys at Going In Raw because they follow me. I am officially crowned as the champ, and I don't care about progress. So
Doorknob Head wants to know if that's a Wonder Woman belt. So Ken,
first of all,
hold on.
this
Nope,
is
nope,
the man
nope,
belt.
nope. See,
Nope.
yeah, I
nope,
warned you. I
Nope.
warned you.
Nope. Nope.
So Ken, did you ever partake in the wrestling fanaticism? Did you ever watch wrestling, like even back in the day?
I watched Andy Kaufman wrestle.
No.
Didn't he like wrestle women?
He wrestled women. He also wrestled that guy from Tennessee. I'm trying to remember his name. I can't. I'm sorry, it's not going to come to me. But I know I've never been a big wrestling fan. I watched. I probably shouldn't say this, but I watched Glow. I watched Glow, the gorgeous ladies of wrestling.
No, that's good, man.
That's very good, actually.
I'm sorry. Is that
Without
a
them,
thing?
they wouldn't have. Yes, without the Glow, we wouldn't have women's wrestling today.
I
Pioneers, very strong.
know what
women.
I'm doing.
Yeah.
Later today. So,
Wrestling women? What?
but okay, but let's get back on the weeds. So we talked a bit about this, but I've forgotten most of it, which I often do. But to repeal the Second Amendment, what would need to happen?
Repeal.
Repeal.
So
Sorry, repeal.
you'd have
Chris
to.
Repel.
It's the same thing here.
You'd need bigger guns.
You'd have to do so. You'd have to have another amendment to repeal the Second Amendment. We did that once with prohibition. We did the 18th Amendment brought prohibition, and the 21st Amendment took away prohibition.
Right.
So you have to have a constitutional amendment, and that's tricky. In order to do that, there's a 2-step process. Either you need it to be initiated by 2/3 of the Senate and 2/3 of the House have to vote for doing it, or 2/3 of the legislatures of the states. And if you get one of those 2 things, then you have a convention and you propose the amendment, and it must be ratified by 3/4 of the states.
That's
And then it becomes an amendment.
so.
And we talked. No, just a second, Mikey. And we talked about there was actually an amendment that wasn't ratified because the time limit expired on it. Isn't that true?
That was the Equal Rights Amendment, and that's not constitutional, but the amendment itself put a time limit on itself, saying that if it wasn't ratified by such and such a time, it would die.
And I know that it's important for the pendulum to swing slowly on these things so that we're not really reactive and in that sense not overreactive. So we don't want to have it, all right, just get 15 votes in the Senate and you can pass a new amendment, because that would be crazy and we'd have like 5,000 amendments. But is it too steep of a hill to climb? 2/3 of the states. I mean, I think honestly, the ERA is a perfect example. I think there's more than 75% of people who would vote for in support of the ERA, but just because of the way that it's set up, it's something that will probably never ever get passed.
Right. So I don't know if it's too steep. We have had 27 amendments. So the first 10 were the Bill of Rights, and then 17 since then. It's not impossible, although I don't think we've had any passed in the last 40 or 50 years. The last one, I think, was it term? It was a congressional salary. It was about the salaries of congressmen.
Huh.
So, but let me just say this one: the striking thing, and what you guys have alluded to and said number of times, is that the Constitution of the United States is over 230 years old, which is well older than any other constitution by far of any country in the world. It's well, long overdue for us to have a new constitution. But in the state that we find ourselves, this country in, the idea of trying to do something like that is kind of unimaginable.
We don't even have a written
Even
one.
an amendment.
Okay, this is quite funny. I had to look this up. So the 27th Amendment made it so pay raises or decreases for members of Congress can only take effect after the next election. The 27th Amendment, also known as the Congressional Compensation Act of 1789, was only ratified in 1982.
There you go.
Yep.
And this is the thing: whenever you have any kind of, Ken, you'll be able to speak to this more than me, but whenever you have anything like a constitution, as soon as it becomes written down, it becomes like really kind of inflexible. Whereas we have an unwritten constitution,
Right.
so we can just go on and make it up as we go along and change it much easier than you guys can.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Time to wrap up. Anybody got some questions? Anything in the chat for our lawyer friend while we do our talk outs for the week?
Ken, I will be in contact with you because we do need to keep you on retainer because between
Yeah.
Wayne, Cortez, and Chartan, we're gonna need some legal advice. And
It's going bad.
No, you're wrong. Because Brexit, we're fine. We can do what we like.
Because Brexit.
You're not fucking.
I haven't even had breakfast yet.
Yeah,
Enjoy
he's
your-
only
enjoy
He's
your
only
last
got-
3 weeks, Wayne. 3 weeks, man.
Right. Yep.
3 weeks as part of Europe.
Yeah.
And by the way, is it illegal, Ken, to invite people to your house to send them to the moon, or is that a threat?
Oh no.
If I say that people are welcome to come to my house, and I'll be happily obliging them, sending them to the moon,
Oh,
is that a threat?
just say no.
You don't
Oh
have
my God! Just don't.
You don't have
answer.
to. You don't have to answer that,
Do
Ken.
not answer the
No
question.
comment.
I don't know what the law is in your country.
Oh.
There you go.
Leave it at
That's a good
me.
one. That's a good
There
one.
And
we go.
I'm not liable to American law while I'm in Sweden, right?
Correct.
I don't know what our extradition treaties are, though. Be careful.
But
Yeah.
They might come scoop you up in a floral van.
you drive a modern Harley, I'm sure there's something in the brain that says this geezer's a traitor to America.
You think that Harley's got a brain? You clearly don't have a biker's license, dude.
Yeah,
No.
I'm not insane. Why would I get a fucking 200 brake horsepower thing with 2 wheels?
With no
When
doors.
you can get a 70 brake horsepower van, no, I'm sure you're fine.
Mate, I'm all right in my little van. My little van pootling around the country. You know, if I hit anything, it hits the van. It don't hit
Yeah.
me.
Walking down dark alleys, looking through restaurant windows, knocking on people's doors to give them your CD. Yeah, I get it.
All right. I mean,
I
Okay,
have one thing to say
I-
to him.
All right,
I
Brenna,
have one
what you
thing that I
got
wanna
going on
ask
for
him.
next week? Oh no,
Well,
sorry, Cortez, go
There
ahead.
you go.
Go ahead.
Mr. Goldman Esquire,
Yeah.
I'd like you to check out the battle between Canada and Norway on their giant moose statues, because both of them are having an argument on who has the world's tallest moose statue.
Need a lawyer in there for that, for sure.
All right.
Yeah, it's
And,
the stupidest
one of us
thing in the
here-
world.
Has been there.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to both of them actually.
All right.
Of course you have. You're like a third moose. Brenna, what
No,
you got
you-
going next week?
What do I have going next week? Well, I mean, the regular. We've got some work going on, and that's about as exciting as it gets around here.
Cortez, you're
the
not.
forest fires. How's the forest fires?
Not that bad, but still the air quality is I mean, the fire's contained pretty much. And,
I like it how Ken's looking out his window to look at the
Yeah.
forest fires.
Let's
It's like,
see-
you know what?
see
That's a
which-
good thing. I should probably check on that.
which
forest.
forest fires we're talking about. Yeah. Our state is always going to be on fire. I just figured that out.
And
It
Cortez,
breaks off and goes in the ocean.
Cortez, you don't. Cortez, you're not allowed to have any plans this week. Your plans are to drink tea and eat soup and take your steroids and be a good boy and get better. That is.
Yeah.
I didn't get any. So let me tell you the story that I was going to tell you a little bit earlier. So
Very quickly.
I went to the doctor's office, and not the doctor's office. I went to the hospital actually, and they admitted me when I was there, and they did all my blood work. And one of the funny things about it was they said you are weird. And I said, how am I weird? They're like, well, you're an asthmatic, but you don't have any lung problems. You don't have any inflammation, nothing like that. Your oxygen level is 99%. Your output is even higher than it should be. That, like, you don't look like you have asthma. Are you sure that you have asthma? I'm like, I am not here for asthma. And they're like, I understand this, but the average person that gets COVID has breathing issues, especially asthmatics. And so they said, this person has antibodies. Their body has been fighting disease for what looks like months. And they're like, changed in your life. And I started going down the list of things that changed. And I haven't been working 60-hour weeks plus. And they were like, you need to get some rest. And so as you can see, I've been resting, but I'm up. I feel good. I don't have a fever, nothing, I do have my tonsillitis, but those are coming out anyway. And I'm going to go get COVID tested again, probably either Saturday or Sunday, so I can resume my normal activities in my life. Because apparently I'm a tank. I didn't realize that.
I apologize. You thought I was giving you advice. I was giving you an order. Sit your ass down for a week so that your body can recover, so that you can survive your surgery.
But money. But money.
Or
Now.
move to a fucking country where you get sick pay. That'll sort your problems.
I gotta pay for that surgery somehow.
It will never catch on.
All
Because the
right,
government ain't paying for it.
Wayne, what you got going on next week?
Hoping that Kerry's Christmas presents arrive, and I need to get them all wrapped and hidden. Kerry, if you're watching this, ignore that.
She's not watching.
It's a win in a box.
We are.
It's a win in a box.
We are. Yeah, it'd be like the old popcorn trick.
Stop
There you
it!
go.
Stop it!
Oh,
Stop
oh,
it!
come on. Oh,
Inappropriate.
No, in all honesty, it's just closing out the year. We're going into tier 3 in Essex, so basically everything's going to get shut again. Just trying to muddle through and see how we get on. And then we got Brexit, so I may not be here in the new year. I may be like under some Gestapo rule.
I say leave while you still can. Just-
Oh, imagine that. People going, Führer Boris Johnson. Führer Boris. I would fucking...
folks.
All right, children. Hold on, children. Doorknob Head or Hopswatch has a very important question for Ken before we wrap up. Ken, what is your favorite beer?
My favorite what?
Beer.
Beer. My favorite beer. I'm quite fond of Pilsner or Kel.
Oh, I like them.
Yeah, Czech beer. Always
Czech beer.
always good.
Yeah.
It's one of the oldest existing beer breweries in the world, actually, right?
I think so.
I like
It's a
them.
it's very, very good.
Hopswatch is where's Hopswatch in? Is he in
Denmark.
Denmark. That's all he talks about. Anytime he talks about it's like his gauge of character is like what kind of beer the person drinks.
If you like a good beer, you're a good person. If you drink stuff that I drink, he's like, yeah, you got some proving to do, lad.
Yeah, Carlsberg,
The freaking deep Dutch.
All right, Mikey, what you got going later today? Let's do that, because if we ask you for the whole week, we'll be here till tomorrow.
Yeah, it'll be a long thing. I will be Shut up, Wayne. I'll be hanging out with Neil the 604 Atheist tonight. You guys can head on over. Most of you guys are here from there anyway. We're gonna. I don't know who's on the show today, but it should be fun. It always is. And Chartan usually shows up drunk as usual. I get to let my hair down in that show so I can relax and hang out with everybody. But yes, do we want to talk about next week?
Nope.
No
spoilers?
I need to talk on after show
When
about
it's confirmed. When it's confirmed.
Okay. Well, stay tuned, listener. Yeah. Oh, and here's the other thing. One quick production note. Again. Thank you guys for all of the love and support that you guys have given us over the years. But we will be parting. Thanks, Wayne. That was very important for you to say that. We will be parting ways with.
Move.
Parting ways
Interrupting cow.
with Facebook. Our Facebook page will still be up, but we will not be live streaming on there anymore. That platform has had several chances to do right by us, and they haven't. So that's fine. We're not salty, but we're just going to take our business elsewhere. So
fuck you! I'm salty as shit.
I know, but we're not gonna diss them on air. We'll just leave amicably. So starting January 1, we will be streaming on YouTube and Periscope and Twitch exclusively. So if you haven't subbed to us on all of those platforms, feel free to. But we're also going to be reinvigorating our Spotify, iTunes audio podcast. So that'll be coming also.
And that will be streaming.
YouTube is posted in the comment section on Facebook if you're watching on Facebook.
Yes. And it's on our page. It's all over our page.
Yeah. So we will be the audio section of this podcast, which was supposed to be audio only from the beginning, but then we started doing live shows, but will be featured on Apple, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and through our Patreon. So even if you're not subscribing to our Patreon, you can still go in there, but you will not have access to our bonus content. And there's a lot of that coming in because there's some timeless classics in there. Wayne's drunken rant with Drew is just fantastic. Mikey's man love with my brother is just
Me and shout out Shaw, the big homie.
yeah. That crush was just fucking instant.
He's very cool, man. He has all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah, he even broke down and he started playing like new intros for us live on show. It was cool as shit. So yeah, for next week, I'm gonna finish filming. I had to leave my cameras in the bike shop because I have to go into quarantine tomorrow to make sure that I'm out of quarantine by Christmas to see my family in Norway, because Norway's got the strictest fucking quarantine rules that you can imagine. So I'll be, for next week, I'll be sitting up in the cabin and being by myself, just me and my dog. Everything's packed and I'm pretty much ready to go. I just need to go. So please send me some love. I'm going to be alone for 10 days.
Good, as you deserve. Ken, any final words for the people watching at home? Ken's good. Ken,
you're muted. You're muted.
Sorry, I just wanted to tell everyone to be well and be safe, and thanks for having me on. It was fun.
No, Ken, thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Come back anytime.
And on that bombshell, before Jartan can start another 5-minute story,
we are going to use it. We are going to need him. So Ken, please stay.
See, this is what happens, Mikey.
Jartan.
Just mute them. Just mute them.
It's so rude to mute them.
But they just keep talking. We got to wrap this up.
Thank you, everybody. Brenda's talking about wrapping it up, and in the meantime, we're gonna wrap it up.
Wrapping it up.
Thank you.
Bye.
And that's the end of the show.